This writing process exists to produce a structured, narrative account of a bona fide marriage for immigration purposes. In U.S. immigration law, a marriage must not only be legally valid, but factually genuine, formed out of mutual commitment, emotional connection, and shared daily life. While documents and third-party evidence support the external features of a relationship, this written statement provides internal testimony. It is designed to show how the relationship formed, deepened, and became an enduring partnership through identifiable experiences and observable change. This method is both descriptive and strategic. It treats the couple not as passive subjects of affection, but as agents in a system of interaction. By mapping emotional development onto behavioral markers and locating that development in social and physical environments, we provide a structure that immigration officers can verify, interpret, and trust. What results is not simply a letter of intent or a romantic retrospective. It is a document designed to meet a legal threshold through narrative form. The couple's voice is preserved, but it is organized to serve a procedural purpose, to substantiate the reality of a shared life. Use our suggested sections to write about your relationship as a love story, structured through interconnected moments. You're not summarizing your whole romance in one go. You're unfolding it scene by scene. Each stage should become a small narrative arc with 3 specific parts. You've already thought about the events. Now it's time to craft. Establishing mutual presence. How you first noticed and were noticed in return. Start by describing the first sign of presence, maybe a profile, a glance, or a moment that gave you your first glimpse of the other person. Don't over-explain, just show what stood out. Then move into the signal, the moment when the attention was returned. Be specific. Was it a message, a reaction, a lingering look? End with the tag. Describe the moment when that shared awareness became public or declared, however subtly. This first paragraph should move from personal notice to shared attention to mutual acknowledgement. The goal is to illustrate how both of you began existing not just near each other, but for each other. Initiating the connection. How desire led to response and continued exchange. Begin with the initial action that moved things forward. What impulse or choice initiated motion, like swiping or starting a conversation? Then describe how that motion was answered. A match, a response, a mutual confirmation. Finish with the moment that cemented the exchange. A message or gesture that turned the abstract idea of connection into something human and direct. Your paragraph should feel like the ignition of a cycle, showing how one movement generated another, building momentum that felt intentional and reinforcing. Building emotional recognition, how joy gave rise to identity and public inclusion. Start with the first shared laugh or unexpected moment that revealed personality, something that surprised you with delight. Let that become the opening to describe how you started thinking about this person as distinct, memorable, a handle that helped you hold their identity in your mind. Then, wrap up by talking about a gesture of public association. This could be something like tagging them in a post, quoting them in a conversation, or even bringing them into a story, something that solidified their role in your world. This triad should trace how joy led to recognition, and recognition led to an intentional, even symbolic inclusion. Navigating disruption, how distance, conflict, and uncertainty complicated the path. It all starts with that first moment when things just felt off. Maybe it was an unexpected distance, a sudden silence, or a change in tone. These interruptions can really complicate the path ahead. Then write about a flashpoint, a conflict or emotional rupture that emerged from this instability. Let the third part show the emotional aftermath, not resolution, but confusion, disorientation, or a compulsion to reprocess through scrolling, rereading, or mental spiraling. Don't make it neat. Let the paragraph break rhythm the way the relationship did. This isn't about resolution, it's about the loop. Deepening intent, how reaching out became searching for a shared future. Describe a moment of reaching out, something simple like a late message or a spontaneous question that implied longing. Let that moment open into something more intentional, searching conversations where you explored each other's stories, values, or hopes. Conclude with a shared plan or imagined future, anything that oriented you both forward. Your paragraph should feel like a journey beginning, tethered by curiosity and unfolding into direction. Even if you didn't know where you were going, you were moving together. Sharing identity and environment. How individual lives began to intertwine. Start by illustrating a symbol of personality, something they named or chose that told you who they were. Let that become a seed in your own life. Describe how their presence began to shape your habits, your posts, your attention. Finally, let the shared world appear: mutual friends, rituals, or merged communities. Show how two distinct lives began overlapping until the boundary between mine and ours became soft. Explain how you started sharing more daily routines, thoughts, and dreams. This paragraph should trace how identity merged, creating a shared environment where both felt equally at home. Creating resonance. How shared expression and attentiveness formed relational harmony. Begin by describing a particular aesthetic or expressive habit, how they shaped their world, even in small ways: photos, playlists, routines. Then move into how you responded, what you began to echo, admire, or adopt without being asked. Close with the atmosphere you created together, moments of mutual presence that transcended noise when attention became unspoken communication. The paragraph should feel attuned, like two voices learning the same key. Marking commitment in daily life. How definition, memory, and shared space took hold. Begin this part of your story by writing about a moment that marked an internal or external shift in your relationship's definition. This might be when one of you changed a status on social media, referred to the other as partner, boyfriend, or girlfriend, or simply mine in front of others. It could also be subtler, a mutual understanding that exclusivity had begun. Use this shift to show how choice replaced curiosity. Next, bring in the sensory trace. This is something small but unforgettable: a scent on a jacket left behind, a toothbrush staying in the cup, a favorite dish that lingered after they were gone. Let it show how presence began to leave marks in absence. Then write about the room, not metaphorical, but literal. Where did you first return to each other? Weekends spent together, a regular couch, a shared Airbnb, a studio. Choose one scene that felt like it held both of you, a neutral ground that began to feel sacred. The paragraph should feel like a convergence of declarations, traces, and environments, showing how time together turned into a place where you began to stay. Forming daily intimacy. How routine, environment, and emotional ease establish stability. Here, start by writing about a shared activity, something routine that moved from occasional to default. It might be watching a show, cooking together, running errands, sleeping over without ceremony. Let this be your opening into the quiet rhythms of couplehood. This is less about the activity itself and more about how it became ours. Then, bring in the shared space. Describe a place that wasn't officially your home yet, but was claimed through presence. This could be your apartment, their bedroom, a sublet, a car you both rode in every day. Focus on how the environment reflected your pairing. Objects rearranged, belongings shared, groceries chosen together. Include sensory details that show occupation and adjustment. Close by, writing about the comfort that formed, being unhurried, at ease, and unmasked. Maybe you stopped dressing up around each other. Maybe silence became relaxing. Let this section show how your relationship became a daily presence. Not just a special event. The goal isn't drama, it's atmosphere lived, layered, and real. Becoming a recognizable pair. How shared language, social energy, and resting places define togetherness. Begin with the creation of shared language, a playlist, an inside joke, a term of endearment. These might seem small, but they mark the point where your connection developed its own identity. Write about how these little things became shorthand for something much bigger. Then shift to the mood, how others perceived you as a couple or how you felt walking into a room together. Did people smile at your dynamic? Did you have a vibe that others referenced or teased? Or maybe you felt it yourselves. A kind of ease, a lightness, a frequency that defined you both when you were in sync. End with the couch. Not necessarily literal, but a place you landed again and again. It might be a couch, a bed, a particular booth in a restaurant, or a driveway where long conversations happened. This is your shared resting point, the stable return. Use it to show emotional repetition, the comfort of knowing where together lives. This paragraph isn't about high points, it's about emotional climate. Show how the two of you as a unit settled into a recognizable state of us. Living the commitment. How enduring trust, practical merging, and shared life became the basis for marriage. Start by writing about the vows, not just the ceremony if it's already happened, but the small, often invisible commitments that made the big one believable. Staying after fights, being there through illness or family stress, learning how to argue without leaving. Write about a moment that made you think, this is someone I trust to stay. Next, explain how your lives merged in practical terms. Did you move in together? Open a joint account? Share pets, health insurance, or holiday plans? Don't worry about which things feel romantic. Just describe the texture of merged logistics. It could be as simple as folding laundry together, syncing calendars, or making grocery lists. Integration is the structure that holds love in time. Finally, describe your home, not as architecture but as an ecosystem. What grew in your space? Was it peace, frustration that got talked through, a rhythm of meals and recovery, the couch you fought on and the blanket you made up under? Let this be the place where everything you've built rests. This is where the narrative ends, not with a climax, but with cohesion. The vow, the merge, and the home form the system that allows the decision to marry to feel not like a leap, but the next clear step in something already lived. You do not need to end with a flourish. The strength of your statement lies in the cumulative weight of the life you've described, scene by scene, gesture by gesture. Resist the urge to wrap everything in a single final thought. Instead, let your last paragraph reflect what has already been shown. Stability, trust, shared intention. If there is a moment that quietly summarizes your present, a ritual, a habit, a shared look across a familiar room, you may include it, but only if it feels like a continuation, not a conclusion. Let the ending feel lived in, not written for effect. Remember, the reader isn't asking for poetry. They're asking to believe, and belief is built not by claiming love, but by showing how that love has shaped your days, and continues to do so without needing to be proved. Best of luck always, in life, law, and love.